All right, so you've determined that strength training is essential for health and weight maintenance. You went out, you bought all this equipment to use at home and start getting your muscles toned, and you have no idea where to begin, or it just seems way too overcomplicated. There's too many moving pieces, there's too much going on. I get it. But in this video, I'm going to simplify things. We're gonna start with an upper body routine, and I'm gonna show you the basic structure behind how I build this routine and how you can go about building your own based on your goals and your own individual preferences, what kind of equipment you have at home, and so on and so forth. So in another video, I'll be doing the lower body series just to show you how I break those up. But there's gonna be three major things that I focus on in any workout. So that is first and foremost technique. It is essential that you are utilizing the proper form in order to do these exercises, or you're going to probably cause injury. You're going to deter yourself from wanting to continue, and you are not going to get the benefits that you are looking for, obviously. So always watch videos, talk to PTs or other strength training instructors, and let them know that you are interested in knowing the precise form, and have them watch you and see if that is actually the way you're supposed to be performing the exercise. So this entails making sure your knees are in the right place, your spine, your hips, your pelvic muscles, all of your core should be contracted and strong during these exercises. But also make sure your neck is not out of line, or you're just kind of moving your body in a way that's unnatural. After you get used to these exercises, you will always know how to feel in your body whether or not you're doing them right. So don't worry, this is a skill. It takes time, but eventually you will get there. You won't always need a trainer or some professional to tell you whether or not you're doing the exercise right. You'll just know the way it feels in your body, and you'll know whether or not you need to tweak something. Usually it's my shoulders or my spine in some way. So without further ado, I'm gonna start with a light warm-up. Upper body, I don't do as long of a warm-up as I do with lower body. Typically it's just some push-ups and some arm swings and arm circles, things of that nature. I tend to do anywhere from 10 to 20 reps, depending on the type of exercise I'm doing, depending on what my goals are and exactly how many sets I plan on doing along with those repetitions. So repetitions are just the amount of frequency that you're doing within a given set. And then the set is just the series of those frequencies. Typically, I'll do 16 repetitions with 3 sets. So I'll do 16 of the exercise 3 times. But you can break this up any way that you feel comfortable, depending upon the heaviness of the weight, the difficulty of the exercise, and what your particular goals are. Today, I'm going to be focusing on, first and foremost, my back and my chest. I always like to start with the larger muscle groups first, and then I'll be moving on to the smaller muscle groups, the biceps, the triceps, and the shoulders. So today I'll be using some free weights. I have 10s, 15s, and 20s. I definitely recommend lighter ones, but I have a very fit boyfriend who insisted on the heavier ones, and I like to push myself. So as long as you're not hurting yourself, it's okay. But there are definitely times where I wish I had some 5s or some 8s. Then I have some exercise bands. These are great for upper body. I had to really search the internet for these. The different colors basically entail the different strength. So red would be the strongest in this variety, green would be the next, and then yellow is the lightest. Super easy to stretch. And I have more that go heavier that I use for lower body, but I'll show you those in the next video. And then I have an exercise ball that I'm going to be utilizing as a bench today. I'll show you how I do that in a moment. Let's get started. The first exercise I'm going to be doing is called a chest press, and just like it sounds, it's going to be targeting those chest muscles. I'm going to be using a heavier weight for this exercise because anytime you're using your chest or your back, you're likely able to use a heavier weight because these are much larger muscle groups. The exercise ball is helpful for this movement because it allows me to bring my elbows back farther than had I been able to if I were lying on the ground, for instance. The only modifications I would suggest for this move are either using lighter weights or going into a push-up position and trying to do those instead, because they do work these muscles in a similar way. I'm a big fan of circuit training and supersets, so that just means continuing to do exercises in between your rest periods when you finish a set, instead of sitting there and waiting a minute or two until your muscles regain their circulation and strength. You want to be doing other exercises to continue burning calories and to get the most out of your workout. Since it's the beginning of my workout and I just finished my chest press, I'm going to follow it up with these bent over rows. So this is going to be targeting the center of my back. It's really important here to keep your back nice and straight. You just want to bend over far enough to the point where you feel the gravity as you are lifting the weights up and back. So the second thing you want to keep in mind when doing strength training is that the eccentric motion should be just as slow and controlled as the concentric motion. So what do I mean by this? Basically, the concentric motion is when you are shortening those muscle fibers and you're contracting that muscle. So in a bicep curl, for instance, this would be the concentric motion on the way up. Now the eccentric is the elongation of those muscle fibers on the way down. You want to go just as slow and controlled on the way down as you did on the way up, even though it's very tempting to just kind of let that weight drop. But you don't want to do that. You want to maintain that control over the weight or the resistance band or whatever type of equipment you're using all the way up and all the way back down. You want to do this to make sure you're getting the proper range of motion and you are activating each of those muscle fibers along the way down instead of just focusing on a particular area. That will cause injury and you won't get the benefit of the workout. This isn't just to teach your body how to lift a weight. This is to teach your body how to be stronger and how to utilize your muscles in a better coordination. That's why we want to be working them in so many different ways, but also that's why we want to maintain that range of motion and elongate and control those muscle fibers. So this next exercise is called a Superman, and I use it mostly to target my lower back, but it also works different areas of the upper back as well. As you can see, everything is engaged right here. To modify this exercise, you can do swimmers, which is very similar. You just alternate leg and arm. So if you're doing right arm, use your left leg and then vice versa for the opposing position. This is for anybody with injuries, or if you have not yet built up the strength to do Supermans, then go ahead and do those. I always find this exercise to be a little too easy. I don't own any ankle weights or lighter hand weights to make it more challenging that way. So what I do at the end of each set of 16 repetitions, I will pulse at the top of the movement, and then I'll hold the position in isolation for about 30 seconds. This tends to really burn out those back muscles. After my Superman sets, I'll do some back stretches and then get right into a set of push-ups in between each set of my Supermans. Again, these back-to-back exercises are really useful for keeping your heart rate up and burning those calories and getting the most out of the time that you spend doing your workout. I don't ever want to be sitting and waiting to catch my breath to get to the next set of an exercise when I could be moving my body. But if you feel like you need that breather in the beginning, don't feel like you can't take a minute and a half to 2 minutes to rest. But just know that anytime that you are going to rest, make sure you don't go beyond the 2 minutes, because then you actually start seeing some diminishes in your returns. The third thing you want to keep in mind is hydration. Make sure you fill up on water pre-workout and during your workout and post-workout. This does not entail protein shakes or any kind of special water. You just need regular, good old H2O. And listen to your body. When you start to feel a little fatigued or thirsty, make sure you're hydrating. It's really that simple. All right, let's get back to the workout. So far for chest exercises, we have done chest press, push-ups, and now we're going to do some chest flies. You can use this again with either a bench or the exercise ball. I'm a huge advocate of working opposing muscle groups in succession. So immediately following 16 repetitions of the chest flies, I move directly into the reverse flies, which work just as they sound, the opposing muscle group to the chest. So that would be the back of your shoulders and your upper back. To modify these, you can use a figure 8 band to do the same motion, just standing upright. After finishing about 16 repetitions with these bent over reverse flies, I move back into my standard chest fly and do another set of those, then another set of the reverse flies, and then one more set of each with very little time in between to catch my breath. To finish off my lower back, I'm going to do 3 sets of 20 repetitions of these external rotators. So this really targets that middle back in a way that burns so good that you know it's working. I always like to know that I'm working the muscle I'm targeting by feeling that burn and that sense of accomplishment. You don't want to be doing a bunch of movements that really aren't getting you anywhere in the gym or at home regardless. You can also do this exercise with hand weights. I just prefer the exercise band. I feel it so much more pronounced when using this little figure 8 band. All right, moving on to triceps and biceps. We are going to start with the tricep exercises. So here I'm doing some dips. You can take so many different materials in your home and figure out how to use your body weight and those particular items to exercise your muscles and find resistance in some creative places. So this works not only the triceps, but a number of upper body muscles. So I always like to start with this or something similar when I'm doing triceps, and then work my way down to the exercises that target the triceps in isolation. In between sets of the tricep dips, I'll do some push-ups. This also works your triceps along with the chest muscles, so it becomes really challenging to do 2 tricep exercises back to back, or otherwise known as a superset. You can modify push-ups by doing them against a wall or on your knees, and you can modify the tricep dips by keeping your feet flat on the floor, so keeping your legs out at a 90-degree angle instead of straight ahead. For my biceps, I will be doing some hammer curls. So this, you'll notice my palms are facing each other instead of up towards the ceiling as I curl. This is what makes these hammer curls. They are a slightly different movement, which means they target the biceps in a slightly different way than had you do standard curls or wide grip curls or any other kind of bicep exercise. In between bicep curls, I move back to my triceps because again, I like to do those opposing muscle groups. So that would be the biceps complementing the triceps. So here, this is a tricep extension. Unilateral movements are always going to be more effective than when you're using both arms at the same time or both legs at the same time. So trying to incorporate some of these single arm movements are going to be really beneficial to your workout. The last exercise I'm going to do today is a shoulder press. Now I've already done a bunch of exercises that would inadvertently work my shoulders, so I don't feel the need to go overboard with this final isolation. So a shoulder press can also be modified with a exercise band by holding the elbow stationary while moving the band inward and outward behind your head. I'll do a similar amount of repetitions and sets for the shoulder press and then quickly move into my recovery, which is going to be a series of static stretches and breath work. Research has shown that the greatest benefits from stretching come at the 30-second mark, approximately, when it comes to holding your stretches. So anything beyond this isn't going to be super beneficial, but anything below this isn't very beneficial either. So it's really important to stretch these muscles out after you have been shortening them with the resistance training. I try to make sure to stretch all of the major muscle groups that I had been working on throughout my workout. So that would be the chest, the back, the shoulders, triceps, and biceps in this case. Research has also shown that it's actually important to regulate your breathing at this point. So when you're done with your activity, whatever exercise you're doing, whether it's cardio or strength training, try to regulate your breathing through a series of, usually it's a 4 count on the in-breath, then it's a 4 count hold, and then you want to elongate the exhale. So I use 8 seconds for the exhale, and then back to a 4-second hold before I take a 4-second inhale and repeat. This tells your body that you are no longer in a high cortisol, high stress situation. You are not in flight or fight mode. You are not being chased by a tiger. Your body can calm down now and go back to its homeostasis. I find that on days that I don't do this, I am incredibly fatigued at the end of the day. Just give it a try. They say about 3 to 5 minutes of this is ideal. You are welcome to do more if you find it helpful. I often do. It relaxes you, it soothes you, and it brings everything back to its stable point. I hope you enjoyed that workout as much as I did. Get plenty of stretching in before you go about your day. And don't worry about being a little sore the next day to 4. If you found this content valuable, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.